I'm Devin Townsend, and you are on Shockwave TV, and so am I.
Alright, man, so, I've been a fan of yours for quite some time, pretty much since the impetus of your career.
Awesome.
Accidentally caught wind of you on the Steve Vai thing, and totally dug what you did, hated what he did, and then, I've been a fan of Gene's for a long time, and when this graphic stuff started up, it just kind of led me down. And, man, you're a hell of a prolific son of a bitch, man. Jesus Christ. I mean, 14 solo albums, and 5 scrapping albums, and various other things in production, and all that kind of stuff. How do you manage to keep all that straight?
Well, I'm surprised if it is, actually.
Yeah.
Or if it's perceived as straight, then I think I've managed to pull the wool over everybody's eyes. I mean, I haven't been... I think as a person, I enjoy the process enough to have it a consistent part of my life. But I mean, I think more so than any sort of deliberate, mode or method, it's like, I've just been trying to figure out life as we go, and music just seems to be kind of an ever-present companion to that procedure, right? And so at every state or at every step of the way, there's a frame of mind that accompanies whatever happened that year. Someone was born, someone was dying, whatever, right? And just always shit that's going on. And so my outlet has always just been grabbing a guitar, and then a series of notes remind me of a certain frame of mind, and there it is, kind of documented, right?
So that's how you come out with 10,000 albums and I was like, dude, I texted him today and I was like, he's a year older than us, and how much stuff have we managed to do in that time? So I'm like, you must be doing it just constantly.
I am, and I mean, I think there's the underlying subtext of that is probably an addiction to productivity or working or what have you. And I mean, I don't think it's necessarily been the most healthy thing for me to engage in, but perhaps by writing all these records and doing all this music, it's allowing me to kind of purge that. And maybe at some point I'll be able to just sit back a little bit more than I have in the past.
Like when you're 80 on your porch, on your rocking chair, and you can listen back to everything.
Well, when I was 23, this level of productivity was really exhilarating, and now when I'm closing in on 40, it's most of the time a pain in the ass, right? But it's like, we switched managers recently to a guy in London, and he's really he's really gotten it, and he's pushed what I'm doing further, and the need to kind of really hit it is bigger now than it's ever been, right? So maybe that sort of sitting on your front porch thing will have to hold off for at least a couple more years, right?
It could be worse. You could be digging a ditch. So.
There's elements of music industry that are very similar.
Absolutely.
We talk about that a lot, because that's how we actually met playing music. We feel like, over the past 20 years, and we do it now, we're like, oh my god, my body hurts so bad, I can't do this anymore, but I still want to do it,
It's funny, it's the one industry that it's very difficult to complain about, because there's the knee-jerk reaction from people who don't do it for a living is like, well, get a real job, right? But I would argue that there's very few people that can do this efficiently, right? I mean, I know that we work between 15 and 18 hours a day, right?
Yeah.
And we lift all our own gear, and we program all our own visuals and do all, and I mean, it's a good job to have, but the creative element of it is 3 to 5% of what I do. The rest of it is the financial things and the business things and circumnavigating personal problems and dealing with other musicians and all that shit, right? So, I've got some relatives that are just like, oh, your job's easy, and I think to myself, man, if you came out on tour, I bet you wouldn't last a week, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Every night, we should play after 2 shows.
And I mean, the shows are the one part of it that's like nice, right?
Right.
The rest of it is like the finding a clean place to take a crap and how to pay 15 people with no money, right? So it's interesting.
Yeah, we always say after a show, and we still do it because you've got it for exactly, but it's a passion for what you love.
Yeah. Anytime I've tried to do something different, it always just leads back to this, so it's inevitable that I'm gonna.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Right?
Yeah. And we say so was it worth the month of planning for that one show of 45 minutes of music, and know what? Yeah, it was.
Sure.
Even though I'm hurting the next day, but whatever.
Sure, yeah.
So imagine doing that 5 times a week.
I know.
Driving.
5, man. God. Yeah, we do between 5 and 7 a week usually, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's like, I stopped drinking and smoking 4 or 5 years ago, I guess. And so it's like a lot of what used to sort of take the edge off of it doesn't exist anymore, So it's definitely a job, but I mean, again, it's like my whole diatribe there about not being able to complain about it is not meant to like preface me complaining about it, because I think it's a great job, but it is a hard job, right? And I think a lot of people don't recognize how difficult it actually is.
Not unless you've done it and you're in it. I mean, and I don't think it matters on what level. I mean, we've played music locally forever, and it's still a grind, no matter what level you're at. And I think if you keep doing it, then it's obvious that
you're glutton for punishment.
That's your passion.
Yeah. How the hell do you get your voice to hold up playing 7 nights a week?
Oh my God! Yeah, please tell me.
Because you are like the god of freaking metal. You had the most amazing freaking voice.
Yeah,
I appreciate
it. It's a matter of, man, you can go from something just like brutally freaking heavy to something beautiful and absolutely incredibly great melodies.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. I think there's like where there's a will, there's a way. It's more of a force of will than any real technique. I mean, in the studio, it's like I'm pretty good at Pro Tools, and I can bullshit my way through a vocal performance to make it sound like I'm much better than I am, right? And
I've seen you live. I've seen you pretty badass live too.
For the first couple of weeks, and then towards the end of the tour, you just do a lot of these. Everybody else sing it, sort of trick. Right?
Nice.
But I think it's like it's a performance too, right? And I think a lot of the smoke and mirrors that go into making it work are what ultimately it comes down to entertainment, right? It's like, I enjoy doing the kind of acoustic things where it's just me and acoustic guitar, and I enjoy the big overblown sort of DTP thing, and I enjoy the Ziltoid thing, and I really do enjoy it, right? But how much of what I do is defined by, how good of a singer, I think I got a really fragile voice, man, and it's like,
Really?
oh yeah, it doesn't last worth of shit, so I do, like 45 minutes worth of warm-up a night, but after 2 weeks, man, I mean, it's like, I'm rolling at like 30% of my abilities, right?
Is it better now that you quit smoking, or is it nice?
Oh, yeah.
More power?
I was going to bring you some PG tips.
Yeah.
I thought you might like that.
I appreciate it,
I was
But
kind
you
of
forgot.
I was kind of running out myself.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we're up in Canada, right? So we got that.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you about that growing up in British Columbia. So like you must have had like all my favourite like chocolate and all that good stuff growing up.
Never been a huge sweets fan, to be honest. I'll take salty and spicy over sweet almost any day, right?
So Walker's Christmas.
Yeah, I like chips. I mean, it's like I like food in general. It's a good comfort for me. But I mean, I don't spend much time thinking about it, but when it's there, I really dig it, right? So
It's pretty awesome.
it's there. Yeah, I'm pretty much with the creature comforts.
Food sucks when it's not there, though. It's horrible.
Most things that aren't there suck, right?
Mm-hmm. So we saw you probably, I guess it was the last Strapping tour at Baltimore, and you delivered the single-hand best line on stage of all fucking time.
Ask me if he remembers first.
They got a fish tank in the back of the club.
Do you remember the fish tank?
You were getting ready to play Shitstorm, and you go, "Those fucking fish are about to be fucked," and you just launched into it. It was amazing. It was the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. So now every time we see a fish, we're like, "That fish is fucked, man." It's so badass.
It's funny. It's like I go on autopilot as soon as I get up there. And there's been some times where I've seen some videos of shows. I'm like, "Wow, how did you say that?" Maybe go on to some rage about it. But I mean, I think. More than anything, what's defined what I do. I mean, it's cool, man, but it's like more than anything, I think what's defined what I do.
You change fish for us forever, I'll tell you that.
Everybody needs a job, right? No, I rarely think about anything I do, right? And sometimes to the chagrin of the activity, right? But I don't think about what I'm about to write. I don't think about food. It is really, and I mean, it's like not in a zenned out sort of way. I think just in a completely like lack of perspective kind of way.
It's a sense of humor kind of way too, man. Because you got a wicked cool sense of humor.
Yeah,
You can tell that lyrically, you know.
Yeah, and again, it's like, I think you're just a product of your influences, right? Like a bunch of shady movies and Monty Python or whatever. But I mean, yeah, no, I rarely think about it, right? And so the things that I do think about usually end up the shit, like the bad stuff, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they end up like killing the momentum with it. Right? I definitely like improv, be it music or speaking or whatever. And, some days I'm good at it and some days I'm not. It depends on how much sleep I've had. But I appreciate it, man. I'm going to have to remember that. It's Fisher fucked.
It was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It was pretty awesome. Man,
Fisher.
We're not a real big fan of the club, so it was even better that you kind of...
I don't, man. It's funny. It's like when we go out with people, they're like, oh, you remember that one show? And there was that square bench and then that guy out the back there that was whistling. And I was like, no.
Nice. That was a pretty...
What's the name of your guys' band? You still playing together?
Yeah, we have a lot of different projects going on.
Yeah, we're actually we're nested in a project with the guys from...
He's a huge fan of yours. Yeah.
Actually,
He would have probably come with us tonight because he's in Texas.
They're a good band too, man.
Yeah.
It's cool. Yeah, it's cool. No, it's strange. We're like, I guess 4 or 5, maybe a week or so into this tour, and it's like it's been good, but it's we're preparing for these 4 shows in London in November, and as a result of that, it's like there's just so much technical, so many technical things that need to be addressed right now, like while we're traveling, that I'm kind of oblivious to the fact that we're actually doing shows. It's like it's cool, but it's been 2 years constantly of touring, and so now, the show is one thing, and I've got a routine that I've got a vocal warm up, and but the majority of our time on this tour is spent rehearsing for like Key and the Construction Ghost, and it's keeping on the memory of it alone is like pretty heavy, man.
There's some intricate stuff going on.
I never thought I'd have to play it live. That's the problem. Right?
Yeah, when you get in the studio and you're like, oh,
that's
I really
it.
fucked myself.
Well, that's it. I was just like, I didn't even think of it. I was like, oh, I'll just do that because I'm never going to have to play it, right?
Yeah, you weren't planning on touring any of that stuff.
No, man. So it's like, so now that we have to play it, I'm sitting in the back row with Dave, and Dave's showing me my parts, right? And I'm just kind of like, because it's like I'll record it, but I'll just, like you say, about doing it sort of at the time, right? I'm like, I'll record, I'm like, okay, goes like this, but I'll move on, right? But we'll move on. And then you double check it to make sure it's like emotionally doing what you want it to do, and then all of a sudden going back to listen to it, I'm like, what the fuck is that? You know what I mean? Like, what key is it in? What tuning is it in? What, like, how do we do that, right? So
no lip syncing for you, right?
Well, no. I mean, I don't lip sync, but there's definitely, we've got like choirs and shit on tape. But I mean, somebody was critical of that the other day, and my whole point with it is like, well, what I want to do in the future is have a choir and an orchestra on stage with us, right? But until such time that we can afford it, which we can.
It somehow.
Yeah, totally. Right? So I think it's fun.
I mean, I'm sure you could do it all yourself, right?
Yeah, right.
Are the albums selling well? Are you doing things picking up?
It's what it always has been, I think it's like what I do is pretty confusing for a lot of folks because it's hard to say, okay, from this record to this record, this is how it progressed. It's like this sort of a sound and then this sort of a sound. So I think the people who get it, like, really get it, and then the people who don't just usually don't have the patience to
just
try.
want to come out and you're scrapping or something.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's less of that than there was, and I mean, when people are asking me about strapping, they're just like, why would you quit? And I'm just like, well, I can besiege you with a lot of reasons, but honestly, I wasn't happy, and now I am, right? And I think that read on the back of a coffee cup the other day, it's like, if you become successful at doing something that you're unhappy doing, I mean, you might as well just like
dig a hole.
That's so true. So true. You can be playing biggest shows in the world with something that's making you unhappy, and it's just a burden rather than something. So I'd rather play what I want, and we've been doing this for 2 years. We did strapping for 10.
That's the whole point.
We'll see where it goes.
I think what you put together and the fact that you put it all together kind of simultaneously is pretty badass because it is there's so many different textures going on, and to write that many tunes all at the same time and have that many things, you must have just like total chaos going on in your head.
Well, I mean, I probably know more than you or you, right? I mean, I think the thing is, it's like, we've got a 5-year-old kid, and like being a new parent, definitely.
We were talking about that too, because we have 10 and 12-year-old.
Yeah, it's heavy.
So we've still tried to play music and do that all along. And listening. We were going through your lyrics, and we just loved the lyrics, and we're like, what balls to like? Because I mean, when you do have kids, it's like the whole thing explodes, right? It's nuts.
That's it. And I mean, it's like, you know, but I mean, I tried to, you know, get another job, and I tried to do a bunch of other shit, but it's like the thing that I do better than any other thing is like this, right? So it was nice to be able to gain a little bit of perspective from it, but with the kid, and then trying to be productive at the same time. It's like, you know, it's like, I mean, getting a good night's sleep is the highest commodity that I can think of at this point, right? So.
Do they ever come on tour with you?
They're coming to London, you know, for these 4 shows, but
DVD shoot.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, they're in school and all this sort of shit, so it's like, you know, and as you can well imagine, being away from your family, you know, and trying to remain calm and functional out here amidst a lot of the petty things, while there's things that are at home that, you know, your energies are probably better be spent on, yet you're away, right? So a lot of it is like sort of taming your own emotions to be able to like, you know, do it effectively. And I mean, a lot of what this is it's, I mean, it's great, it's really cool, but it's all like, it's acting, right? Well, not acting because it's just an exaggerated version, but it's fantasy, right? It's not real.
I say it's not. I told RJ we had a show a couple of weekends ago, so I got kind of like slip out of mom mode and like it's alter ego mode.
Very difficult.
And alter ego mode is a completely different animal.
The first day of having this transition between the two is very difficult too, because, you know, it's when I'm in dad mode, it's very difficult for me to look at this and not think of it as being a waste of time, right? And then it's like, and then when I'm in this, I'm all of a sudden, you know,
it's your bread and butter.
Well, yeah, it is, but it's also like, in order to protect yourself against the hyperbole of it, right? Because there's a lot of times where, I mean, like you guys are cool and everything, but there's like some folks that aren't parents and maybe don't have the same perspective on it, and they think that, you know, you are what your music is, as opposed to your music just being a byproduct of a life, right? And then all of a sudden you have to emotionally distance yourself from strangers just to avoid the, you know, like, because, you know, if you go home with any sort of like inflated sense of self-importance and try and wield that shit around your family, you know, it doesn't do anything for you.
Get slammed down pretty quick. When you get slammed down pretty quick, like when your kid's like, "Mom, come wipe my ass."
Well, that's it. But it's like, how do you circumnavigate performing effectively, because it takes that heightened state of like, you know, narcissism to be able to do it and not be terrified.
Absolutely.
How do you like balance that with the realization that this is just a job, right? So it's like, it usually takes a couple of days, right? But it's, you know, I think it's healthy as a result of that, and for me, not, you know, drinking or smoking or whatever allows me to at least keep it in perspective, right? Because, you know, it's like.
But I think I read somewhere that you said that, and I completely understand that must have been a completely different for writing and everything. Once you were the person who was not drinking and everything, that was like, whoa, I haven't done it like that before. You know?
And I mean, I think it's like, well, I think you have to forgive yourself for a lot of your own bullshit, right? And I think you also have to, accept the reality of things, you know, rather than sort of play on the metaphor of it all. And I think that when that happens, it's a lot easier for me now to stand behind the lyrics, and I think that was strapping because there was so much of that written when I was high and drunk and whatever. There was like a real lack of accountability that really fed that band, which was cool at the time. But I just honestly don't have that option anymore. It's like, I don't.
You're a different man now.
Yeah.
Right? Your father.
Totally. So it's like a lot of people like, well, why can't you do it? I'm like, well, because I can. I don't know what to tell you, right? I mean, it's like when folks are saying, well, you know, we really like it. I'm saying, well, yeah, but I mean, do you want me to lie to you? You know?
But also, why not do what's coming out of you now at the time? Because that's what was happening.
Yeah, but you just, and I do, right? But the thing is, you just spend a lot of your time like defending it, which is like funny in hindsight because you're just kind of like.
We think it's hilarious. Like, it's like Rob has his morning commute, and it's like, what is it? Is it a strapping morning? You know,
Well, that's the thing is, it's like they're all appropriate for certain frames of mind, right? But I think that as like people who create music, it's like if you're creating things to try and satisfy other people's moments, it's never going to be authentic, right? And so I think it's like, as a moment in time, for example, I'm like, well, Alien was like a great moment in time for that. But having done that, now I'm able to like, you know, move to the next place, or that's no longer like valid, right?
Well, that moment happened.
Yeah.
It happened. It existed at the time, and it's done
And
now.
you're staying
and
true
something
to
else.
yourself, and it's not selling out or anything.
You know, and I mean, I think it's like
You have to respect that.
you do, and I mean, I think it's like I think even as the person, you've got to respect it, right? Because it's like if you don't, you're just. It's very easy, specifically when money is tight, to think, well, what do people want from me, right? And then, you know, try and create something that's like a
And
version.
then you get to that unhappy point you were talking about where you could be doing it and be miserable, so what's the point?
Totally, right? And I mean, in terms of a job, it's like, would I rather be out here, you know, doing this, or would I rather be at home, you know, playing bass in a band and hanging out with my family, right? It's like, I mean, obviously that depends on how much baggage you're carrying around with you, right? But I guess the goals ultimately are like, if you're going to be doing this, do it for the right reasons and don't fucking do it, right? I think we're probably going to have to like wrap it up pretty quick. I can't tell you how much I appreciate the
Thank you
support.
so much. So great to meet you.
Real pleasure to meet you as well. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Your music's amazing.
Thank you. It really
Stoked
means
for the
a lot.
show.
We had one more
Stoked
question.
for more material.
We had one more question.
Oh, man, it'll be fucking awesome, dude.
How do you effectively
Just say
Just
no.
come play on it. Just come play on it.
okay.
Or like next time you're in town, come over and have a cup of tea.
Okay, I'm probably. I think the reason why I would say no is because even if I did say yes, there's a good chance I'd never do it.
Never do it.
And then it's like, and all of a sudden you're the dick that said yes and didn't follow through.
That's right.
I'm a man of my word,
I'm
folks.
still going to
It's
send you
alright.
tracks to just lay over.
Yeah, yeah.
Good,
Well,
guys.
yeah. if you
Good luck
show
with your
us-
music, guys. Thank you for
Thank
everything.
you
Thanks for taking
so
the time,
much.
dude. Appreciate it.